lot of beginners. I thought it was solid. But when looking at the wide roster, I thought it was one of the better ones. I thought there was actually a good mix of old and young, and obviously there's hearsay about who turned it down, and there's obviously been some injuries. Obviously, Amber was probably my favorite player on the roster in general. And when I found out
Yeah.
she was hurt, I was like, oh, because I think she's honestly the number 2 middle. Ooh, there we go. And so in general, I think it's good. I think Jenna Gray is a number one that we missed. Obviously, I would love to have seen Jenna Gray on the roster. I do believe she turned it down. And overall, though, I think it was good. Like, I think, especially in the outside position, we were needing like a good O2 presence. And I think some people see some weird picks, but I'm like, I think he's really trying to see an O2 that can really bring some ball control, like that Kelsey Cook energy.
Yeah.
So I kind of get the picks. Overall, I'm okay with it. Now I want to see of the list who he decides to pull in. Last year, like the wide roster, I was like, okay. And then he put in, the rosters every week, and I was like, okay, we're bringing the same 3 or 4 people that haven't done anything every week. Like, what's
Yeah.
happening
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I think roster management week in, week out is going to be a big
Mm-hmm.
thing for Sullivan this year in this American team, especially because you're still missing. Like, there's a few. I would say there's maybe like 2 to 4 players who aren't on this roster who I think will ultimately be on the World Championships roster for next summer, and then
Mm-hmm.
the Olympic roster. Like, you're going to think that Catherine Bowden or Catherine Plummer.
Yes,
Either way, is probably going to be there. Maybe Clea Lanier as well. Depending on Haley Washington's health, is
Mm-hmm.
she still going to be around as well? And then Agility as well. So
Yeah.
like that's 4 players right there who you'd assume would be on the roster. But there's a lot of other roster spots that you're looking to fill
Agreed.
out, whether it's the S2 spot. I think the Libero race is wide open, and it was
Totally agree.
really interesting to see, whether it was on my Discord or whether it was in the comments of the video. There's a lot of discourse around the starting Libero as well.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And then other than like especially with having no Plumber, and I apologize, I will refer to them to their old names. So though, like
Same. I get stuck doing it too.
the Bajamas and the Plumbers, Simone Lee as well. Like
Yeah.
I will refer to them as their old name because that's what I've watched them for years and
Yeah.
years
Same.
as of. Okay, just to put that out there. But especially without Plummer and Lanier there, after Skinner, you've got a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
A lot of question marks. I guess before how would you like to do this? Do you want to actually, first and foremost, before we actually get into this, how important is it to have now 6 of the Olympians back for this run?
Like, I think it's
bringing
huge.
Yeah, you've got a Bogu back. You've got Micah Hancock back.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Skinner and
Poulter
and Poulter. Who else? Redkey.
Yeah.
And then of course Jordan Thompson. How important is it to have that core back?
I think it's super important. I really hope that we get to have like at least 1 or 2 of them every week, to help bring some stability and leadership with the young players. I definitely agree with you that the outsides, we're definitely looking for, like, I think Avery Skinner is a lock, and I think Plummer is a lock for LA. And then the other 2 spots are kind of like who's going to step up to the plate. And then, is Kelsey going to come back? Kelsey sometimes struggles offensively for USA, even though she's amazing in every pro season. So like maybe with a little bit of a slower system, she's going to be more successful on the offense. So there's that. I really think I have high hopes for Logan Eggleston. She got her passing way better this season. Again, Love obviously isn't quite like Italy or Turkey just yet, but it's a big step up. And if she can, she's obviously one of the most offensive outsides we've had in a very long time. So if she can get the passing to be consistent like that, I would love for her to be there. But I have a kind of a hot take with the Libero situation. I think that there are 3 of them. I'm actually excited to see Ogilvy. She had a really good season. I just feel like MLV is a massive step down from Love. And obviously Love is kind of in the mix with like the lower A1 teams and then some of the Turkey teams. So at least Love, you've got a lot of Olympians there. So I'm excited to see that with Elena Scott, and Hens obviously has some international experience and has been fine. But I think between Hens Rodriguez and Elena Scott, I don't think it really matters. I personally think all three of them are great, and they're all three going to get the job done. I don't really see any of them being the reason USA loses a match, personally.
That's fair. But they're also, I don't know if they're going to be able to make the impact that like a Justine Wong Rontes will have on the other side. Like she helped stabilize that serve receive so well. Like she could make plays defensively that really, really change things up. You know, especially when you look at just like the pure numbers. I do think actually Lexi is a not bad choice to just have in there as a defensive libero. Like she's the only libero that was playing in League One this year. She was actually up there in terms of digs. Her, create percentage was actually pretty high. And if she can get some more playing time, she might actually be able to make an impact out there.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would like to see her. She's very good about like taking more balls in serve receive, like she did in college. And then I saw that a little bit more in Love. But last summer, I didn't see it as much. And so I'd like to see her do that since we struggle on the outside pen. I feel like Morgan's numbers weren't as good in serve receive, but I saw a lot more aggressiveness from her in serve receive. So I'd like to see kind of them both kind of meet in the middle. Maybe Morgan take a little bit less in serve receive, Lexi take a little bit more. Morgan's defense is obviously just out of this world. Probably the only one we have right now that's up there with the international liberos. But serve receive, obviously, I'd like to see it be a little more steady. But I like all three choices. And I think Elena Scott's a good mix. So I'd like to see if she can translate MLV to international for sure.
It's funny how like the average fan, like there's a lot of biases, especially coming into the NCAA, and the average fan really feels strongly that their number one person is the go-to person. Like there's some people, there's some people in my Discord who are basically calling me an idiot because I couldn't see the magistry that was Elena Scott this year. And once again, like I think she's good. I think she's fine. But especially like I watch a lot of international volleyball.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot less focused on, just the US and the NCAA. Like being Canadian, it's actually really hard to watch the NCAA. So like my bar is looking at like Brenda Castillo or a Monica De Gennaro. Yeah, and at the level, and I just don't see any of them rocking at like a pure international level yet.
Yeah, I agree. And like I was watching, and this is not to shade the MLV. Like I think that it's really big for women's sports. Obviously, I'm wearing like a everybody watches women's sports shirt, and it's great for America to have both leagues. But like Elena looked bored. Elena Scott looked like actually bored playing. Like it was literally so easy for her to dig the balls. And then I look at somebody who like everybody, and I love Mimi Collier. I think that she has the potential to really be an impactful outside for USA, but she's going over everybody in the MLV, and she's not even having to try to go over them. She's not going to be able to do that internationally. So like when she does come to the USA team eventually, it's going to be a big step for her to realize, oh, I do have to like work the block or work around the block. And so I just think if you're in MLV, the blocks are weaker, the blocks are smaller, the hitters don't hit as hard, the serves aren't as strong. I mean, I think the setting is good. I think in MLV they have really strong setting and some really good liberos. But Love as general, just they're bigger, they're more physical. Most of those girls have played in Italy and Turkey for years, and so I think that translates a little bit more. We'll see. Obviously, this summer there's a lot of love girls playing, but I think I'm excited. I'm excited to see the MLV girls. I know some might be moving over to Love, so that's a good sign. And then we'll see how it all translates here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. Like, how many MLV girls were actually on the roster?
Oh, I'd have to look. I knew
because other than the liberos,
I was thinking I might just be and Sage, but I can't say more things about Sage yet. It's not public, but just know it's coming. It's coming. Announcements are coming.
Canaan, come on.
No, I actually can't. I actually can't.
Okay, that's fair. I did tell you coming into this, you don't have to divulge your sources or anything like that because your predictions were eerily bang on. Let's just say,
wow,
eerily bang on.
Even though the men's side, quickly, I was very right, and I had no connections to the men's side, so that was wild. But no, the women's side, maybe or maybe not.
Well, I do know that when you made one of your posts about the men's side, I posted and made a comment, and I was like, yo, not having this person there is crazy. And then that person messaged me and was just like, he may know something because I'm injured and I'm not playing this summer.
Yeah, I
And I
actually
was just
didn't.
like,
I actually didn't
so
know.
okay,
I
so
heard that the person you're talking about, I actually did hear, so that's why they weren't on that list. But I didn't know they were injured.
wait, was it the setter or the outside? Because it
The
was the
setter,
setter
the
that
setter,
messaged
the
me. Okay,
setter. Yeah,
yeah, fair enough. Which is too bad because I really like, I think he's been having some great pro seasons. But we're here to mostly
Yes,
talk about
women's. Yes.
the women. Let's start with the outside group.
Okay.
Of the core outsides. Obviously, you have Skinner there. I honestly think she took a big step forward this year.
Agreed.
Going from Chieri, where, and like for those who, if you're American, you don't necessarily watch the Italian league or the Turkish league, you should. It's great ball. But there is like a top 4 teams essentially in Italy, and the same thing in Turkey as well. There's these top 4 elite teams, and there's a big difference in terms of the pressure when you play for a middle of the table team or a middle of the standings team versus one of the top teams. Because if it's like when you're playing the New York Yankees, when you're playing against Nebraska, everyone wants to beat you, so everyone brings your A game. And I thought Skinner went out. She passed better this year. Her passing numbers are better this year. Her hitting numbers are better this year. Her efficiency is better this year. She had the 4th best efficiency in the LVF this year, just behind Gabi and Ju Ting, who are two absolute legends. Third best efficiency in the LVF this year was Khalil Lanier. So we can touch on her in a second. Yeah. And ultimately she's not scoring nearly as many points because last year she was the focal point of the offense for Chieri, and then this year she's playing opposite of one of the best opposites in the world in Ekaterina Antropova. So I think Skinner is really kind of coming into being being a top 10 outside in the world at the moment.
I actually agree with you, and I may be a little biased. I actually knew her in college. I went to Kentucky, so I knew the national championship team. I didn't know a lot of them very well, but I knew I had met Avery a few times, and I think one thing I've noticed with her, and this is just something I've noticed just watching her play, you can just tell she loves volleyball. Like, I've watched her interviews. She loves to play volleyball. And I don't think people understand enough to, like, yes, when you're good at it, like, you want to do it. And then at some point it kind of becomes a job. But, like, you can tell who really likes volleyball because they just continue to get better and better. And I've said it since the last Olympics that I thought Avery Skinner was going to be our Gabby. And I think she is very well on track to be that.
I mean, I think that's maybe a little bit like
years away. I'm not going to say anytime necessarily right away, but like I'd say give her like 3 or 4 years. Maybe she'll get in that realm.
If I'm going to make a basketball reference, like that's like Anthony Edwards saying he's going to be like LeBron. In my opinion, Ant's great, but LeBron is just in another stratosphere, and so is Gabby. But yeah, I fully agree. Like, she has really grown since moving into that professional game. But then past Skinner, there is a lot of question marks. But for me, Simone Lee coming in is huge.
I love Simone Lee. Like, I have wanted her on the roster for years. I know that she wasn't on it because she turned it down constantly. So I think that a coaching change was definitely why she said yes. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I'm just going to say I don't find it surprising that she says yes for the first time in like 9 years. Yeah. And she's phenomenal. I mean, if she comes in and is like playing the way she's been playing for years, I think that the other outsides better watch out because she's coming for the spot. She's just insane.
Yeah, I mean, like I really got to watch her quite a bit when she was playing for Valafolia last year in the Italian league, and she helped them get their best ever finish in the league. She was a focal point of their offense. She was one of the best passing outsides in the league, was a better passer than Skinner back then. And I mean, Lee is someone who's played everywhere. She's played in Italy. She's played in Turkey. She's played in Germany. She's played in Japan. She's played in Brazil. Like, this is someone who knows international volleyball so well. And, I'm really excited for American fans to get to know her again because I think she's physical. She can hit out of system. She can pass balls, and she can really play that P2 role well.
I totally agree. I have been waiting for her to say yes, and agreed. I think she has so much experience. That's why I liked even Samity not to go to the opposites just yet. But I love that she was in Japan. I think she's gotten so good playing in a league like that where the offense is faster. I think she's just learned a lot more. I think just playing everywhere, you just learn a lot about different systems.
Yeah. And she's playing in Brazil this year too, so it's just really opened
Yeah.
some things up. Opened some things up for her. To me, like I want to see her be the P2, and I think she can
Yeah.
really push to be that spot, kind of maybe even next year and into 2028 as well.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think if as long as she plays the way she's been playing, I think that spot will be hers for sure. Um, yeah, and I watched her play a good amount of the Brazilian league, and then I watched the semis and the finals, and she was ridiculous. I mean, she was insane to watch. It was just like, and she's so level-headed but also intense. I think it's a really good energy she brings on the court. So I like intensity. I like when people are like really like rough around the edges and screaming. And I borderline like Kara Kurt, even though people don't like her. I
Bro,
like the energy she brings.
I kind of agree too. I think she's actually, I've never really liked her as an athlete. I've always kind of described her as like kind of a hit ball, like C-ball, hit ball type of hitter.
Yeah,
And especially this year, like going into the Champions League, I thought she's really improved.
I
But
agree.
I agree. Like I love that fire. We
Yeah.
especially like coming from men's sports, we always revere those types of players, like the Kevin
Hmm.
Garnett types who just go out there and ball and they show that emotion. And I love a player who can do the same thing. And maybe let's just say that there wasn't a lot of room for that in the past regime.
Totally agree.
It was very much about playing your style, playing for your, playing like the quote unquote right way.
Yeah, we saw what happened to Hooker under Karch. So, and that was the worst thing that he'd ever did as a coach was get rid of Destiny. Oh,
So
she's so good,
pa-
but
past oh yeah, crazy. Destiny
yeah,
Hooker was a baller for a while.
so good.
Past, Skinner and Lee, who do you think, like, are we looking at Logan Eggleston and
Hmm.
Sarah Franklin as being kind of the 3-4 on this roster?
I think so. I think a couple of sleeper picks. I haven't seen her obviously play a lot of international, but statistically in love, Claire Hoffman had some absolutely insane passing numbers. She was
Yep.
passing like well above a 2.4, I think. And she hit over 300. So like if that translates, that could be a good option. I don't know if it's Olympic caliber, but I've really liked watching her steadiness. And then I think Katie Barrett's a sleeper pick. I actually really like watching Katie Barrett play.
She's one of the few I don't really know anything about. Like I'll be honest, I
Hmm.
didn't really much of the Brazilian league this year, so I
Hmm.
don't really know much about Katie Berg. Like, tell me a little about her. What like where does she fit on this roster? Because to me, you've got some offensive players like
Hmm.
Eggleston, and then you've got some passing players like Hoffman and Maddie Kubik. Uh,
Hmm.
where does Baird fit into that?
She's a pretty solid passer. I'd have to look at the numbers before anyone tries to quote me on it because I don't have them off the top of my head. But from what I watched in the Brazilian league, especially watching the last few matches of the finals, um, she was really solid. Offensively, she's great. She has a lot in her toolbox. She can bang the ball, high hands, off the side and out, hits really well around the block. And then she's got a little bit, I'd say, less offensive than Eggleston, but a better passer than Eggleston consistently. So I'd say it's kind of in that same realm as Logan. Um, but I think she's really steady. She's a little bit more reserved. Um, but I've always liked watching her, and I think people were really shocked to see her. But if you go back and watch the Brazil games, she was really, really steady all season, and I think just consistent. You know what you're gonna get when she steps on the court. Didn't have a lot
Is
of
that
off games.
is that something that is because like I think that's very similar to a lot of the players on this roster. Is that something that you think Sullivan is looking for? Is a little bit of consistency that you go in and perform game in and game out at the same level?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I like even looking at some of the middles, but like especially on the outsides. Like it looks like we have locked down pretty much the O1s. The plumber Avery can do either one really. Um, and then just trying to find that O2. I think he's trying to find a bunch of ball control outsides
Yep.
that who can step up and be consistent. I think last year, obviously, we struggled with losing a lot of the veterans. And then like we tried to play, we played a lot of Ronnie Jones Perry, and when it was good, it was good, and when it was bad, it was not good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Um, and I just think he didn't have a lot of options last year, and I think they took a more logical approach. It looks like, hey, this is what we need. These are the locks pretty much for the Olympics. Who can fill the passing outside position, especially if Kelsey doesn't come back. And I think that if you look at the roster, it's pretty much full of outsides that can pass well. So I'm like, hopefully every week we get to see different outsides and how they pass.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm like, do you think when you look at this roster that everyone on this outside group has the potential to earn a spot for LA 2028? Because, the U.S. is really in an enviable position. You guys have already qualified for the Olympics. This is a team that already knows that they're going. So you have this extra year where Olympic qualifying starts this summer for every other team in the world, not the U.S., right? So you have that ability to kind of go through the roster. Do you think he's going to do that? Do you want him to do that?
I kind of want to do it. I kind of want to do it because I feel like very strongly in the fact that, like, especially after this Olympics, I feel like a lot of the veterans are done. So I'm like, at the very least, you find who's going to be consistent for LA, and then you also find who can bring depth after LA. So I think finding who can fill roles after LA, we're going to lose a lot, I think. So it's not just a matter of finding who can play in LA. It's also, hey, we need a fifth and sixth string outside after LA. So I think that there's just a lot that we can use this VNL for. And I'm curious to see if he does it. Obviously, that would be a huge change from last year, from playing pretty much the same lineup every time. I would really, well, we'll get to the opposites later, but I really hope there's a lot of really good potential outsides. I'd even like to see Stafford get one game in like week one. I know a few of the girls that played internationally won't be there week one. I don't know if that's public or not. Sorry.
I mean, I think it's to be expected.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you had a longer season, like a Sarah Franklin who was playing at the Champions League Final Four, like that type of, like, same thing with Skinner. You're playing in the Champions League. You got to have a little bit of time to reset, relax, go see the fam before you get back into the gym. And that's typically what we've seen from the VNL year in, year out. That week one is generally a little weaker.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thinking. I just watched an Avery Skinner interview from like last week, and she was saying she gets 2 weeks off for the first time. So I think that just kind of assumes anybody that played late seasons is going to get week one off. So I think that's a good time to, like, let's bring Tori Stafford. And that's just to get experience. I think we have a lot of potential outsides in college currently, a few that are injured. But I think she's one of the top ones that I'm a big believer, since we don't have the youth system developing like that, like they do in Italy and Turkey, where they can start younger. I think that we need to start bringing one or two girls that are in college, or like we're going to see Kari Knotts in the scrimmage tonight, which is super crazy. I have been huge fan of hers. She is literally a freshman in high school playing in the scrimmage tonight. Like, that's insane. Never been done. I don't think it's been done before for USA, and super excited to see just like her get experience. Like, I think young players need the experience. I think we lack development, and bringing young players in 3 or 4 years in advance is huge. Even if they only play 1 week and train for 2 weeks, like, something to get them going.
It's actually crazy where I was, doing a prep for a VNL preview that I want to do, and I'm looking at teams like Belgium and Bulgaria and like, China, who have like teenagers on their roster, right? They have 19, 20, 21-year-olds on their roster. And you look at like a Pauline Martin from Belgium, who is actually like a very serviceable scorer at the international level, and she's 23 years old. Yeah, and it's just crazy how much better they get. This is for another conversation altogether, but I'd love to see a love world where maybe, just maybe, and it like hurts me to say this, but maybe you bypass the NCAA, you just join League One as like an 18-year-old. And they have that system. They kind of have that system set up.
I agree, and I'm kind of hoping that with the Kari Knotts thing, that like she might be the first one, So that would be super crazy. But I agree. Different conversation, but I'm on board with you. I picking up what you're putting down there. I agree. Would love to see that.
Yeah. Anything else to talk about from this outside group, or should we move on to the setters?
Yeah, I'm good. I think I'm excited for Sarah Franklin next year. I think that's huge. She's going to a team where she's going to get to consistently play. Obviously, she saw some time.
Where's she going again next year?
She's going to Turkey, I'm pretty sure, and I don't remember the exact team, but I'd seen some stuff on her which they pretty much expect her to start. So that'll be big for her development.
I thought she actually did really well when she got called in this year.
Yeah, like I agree. I didn't see a ton.
She balled out, actually.
But when I did see her like play or different highlights of her, I was like, yeah, she looks solid, and she's got a great contact point. I mean, she's 6'4", so it's huge.
Great. Moving on to the setters. obviously you still got Jordan Poulter. I thought she had a really good year in League
I
One
did
this
too.
year. I don't think you, especially with the injuries that that Salt Lake
Mhm.
City had, like I don't think you get to the finals if you don't have Jordan Poulter there.
I
Um,
agree.
and then but then after that, I think it's really interesting because you got Micah Hancock, but she's coming in off of that neck injury that
Mhm.
she suffered this year. So how healthy is she going to be? Oh, sorry, Franklin is going to Zarin Spore, which should be interesting.
Okay.
Um, we'll see if she gets paid because they've been having some payment issues this year. Let's say,
Oh, I heard that.
um,
I heard that's what I did hear about that team.
yeah, like I'm sure she signed a big contract, but we'll see if she actually gets the money from it. But yeah, for me, after Jordan Poulter, like with Micah Hancock, you got Fairbanks, who was very steady this year in League One.
Mhm.
Sage, who I know there's a lot of issues out there with Sage, like from this past year. You know, she kind of got cut from League One, couldn't even start for Grand Rapids this year. And then Cami Minor, who was playing for one of the best club teams in the world, playing for
Mhm.
Milano, playing behind. Bosio, I believe.
I
I
think
can't.
so. I think that's right.
Yeah, Bosio. In the Italian league, but like there's times where we're seeing Cami Minor come in and play in the final series against Corneliano. Obviously, Poulter's number one. Who do you want to see as number two?
So, okay, so I have kind of hot takes here. I do agree that Fairbanks was steady. I would like to see her compete better under pressure. When she gets to these final four moments and then her decision making kind of takes over and it's not always the best. I feel like she has great seasons, starts off the postseason well, and then the second it gets a little tight, I see a little less like intensity. I don't know. Just every time I like when she was at Pitt, it kind of happened. But she's a great setter. I do think she's a great setter. Hancock, I think if she's healthy, is obviously great, but I fear that she does sometimes struggle to come off the bench. She is such a
Mm-hmm.
strong starting setter. And then do we risk having Poulter and Hancock as the two setters? Two girls that have been injured off and on. Um, Even though Hancock has definitely been getting healthy and she looked solid when she played at the postseason. Minor, I agree. I think played great behind as a S2. But my hot take is that I know people. I'm actually interviewing Sage in like a week, and I'm gonna wait to post it till the announcement comes out. So there will be stuff coming out about it. But fear not, there is nothing. I love that girl. But off the bench, she was the only one that could perform last summer. The only
Okay.
one that could come in off the bench and set the offense. So that's my take is that every other setter we saw come in just couldn't deliver off the bench. And it's hard. It's hard to come in cold and do
But
that.
but that's also for me too. Is like I thought she was serviceable last year. Like I thought she did a
Mm-hmm.
steady job throughout through the VNL. Like she set most of the time throughout the VNL until Poulter came back, and
Mm-hmm.
then she was Poulter's backup at the World Championships. Like that in itself allows her a spot for this year. No matter
Agreed.
what happened professionally and despite, her maybe not playing nearly as much as she did, her performance in the Team USA jersey last year is what earned her the spot on the roster this year. And
Agreed.
like that's like the long and short of it to me.
I'm right with you. I think a lot of people that didn't want her on there just don't like Texas, and it's like they got to drop the college thing, in my opinion.
Bro,
Like they're not
yeah.
in college anymore. They're playing pro. If you really didn't think she played well, then you obviously weren't watching. I thought that she came in. She has one of the better serves out of every setter on this list. She's the best defender on the list. I think she's one of the only ones since Carlini that actually can play good right back defense. And I think she has the great serve. She runs a good offense, finds the middle from off the net. I think she does everything really well. She's just a little undersized, and I don't see the problem with that, especially in a double sub scenario.
Yeah, for sure. I do think that like maybe the setter position has some of the most players who uh could have been there. Like two notable names, of course, Miatu Niga, who you mentioned before,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then you have Jenna Gray, who has been playing in Brazil recently, and that I know a lot of people wanted to see them there. Do you think either of those two have a case to be on this roster?
I definitely think they both do. I did hear Jenna turned it down, so I don't know
Okay.
whose spot she would have. I don't know if that's true or not. First of all, um, it would make sense. She's been on the roster for 3 years. I could see if she was maybe injured or she didn't. She hasn't seen a lot of playing time, and she's been on the roster for 3 years. Maybe she just needs a break mentally. I also understand that. Um, I definitely think that she's one of the top setters that we have currently. So I would really like to have seen her on the roster. And then Mia's just crafty. I think she is super smart, and she runs the USA system. She's very low quick, mostly pen, but then finds the middle when you need to. And she's not, I mean, she's undersized, obviously, but she's honestly a pretty solid blocker and consistent server. She can rip that topspin like 7 times in a row.
Yeah. You know, I mean, she set one of the best offenses, and like that indie team in MLV is a very high-powered offense with some of the players that they have out there. I thought she did a really good job setting the offense. It's really too bad they kind of choked it in the semifinals. Won't get into that one at all. But I've been a big fan of Mia Tuniga for a long time, and I definitely think you can make a case for her to be there for sure.
I definitely think so. I think she's super consistent, great energy. She's a huge energy source. And I bet even as like I think she'd be the only other setter that I think could come off the bench and set well. I really think that.
Okay. You don't think Cami Minor could do that despite like having her done that this past
I just didn't get to watch it. So I don't know that
That's fair.
she couldn't. I just didn't get to watch it as much. So if I can find a game and go back and watch it, then I could maybe change my mind about it. I was a huge fan of Cami's in college, so I wouldn't put it past her to be able to do it. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's very fair. A lot of people in the chat are looking for Carlini to be back, but Carlini is retired from the national team.
Yeah.
And she's slated to get married to Canada's Nick Hoke. So her kids are going to be Canadian. I'm putting that out there right now.
You better hope, because that's my girl. That is like that is the player that made me like fall in love with setting.
Oh really?
Love Lauren Carlini. I think she is like one of the best setters the USA has ever had. I actually think she should have been setting in the last Olympics. Even though I thought Poulter was great, I just didn't think she was healthy. I actually got to sit down with Poulter for like 2 hours when I was in California, and super fun to talk to her. And I think I agree with you. She had like a phenomenal season. I thought it was like totally changed my tune on her, because I was not a fan really of her international play until this love season. I was like, she played really, really well.
I was a big fan of Poulter a number of years ago. She played for Busto Arsizio in the Italian league, and they were in Champions League and everything like that. And they just had a super high-powered offense. Alexa Gouret was on that team as well, and she just dished the butter really, really well. I think she's just steady. She makes really good decisions, and I think. And don't take this the wrong way, not you, but like the general average American fan really likes and I know you're a big Carlini girl, but they really like the Carlini flashy sets. They like the Carlini like over on twos. But sometimes you just need a Tom Brady out there who isn't going to make the big play, but is just going to deliver the ball consistently and make good decisions, like set in and set out.
I definitely agree with that as well. I think my biggest, and we touched on this last year when we talked about it, I think my biggest thing with Poulter was she just didn't run the middle a lot, and we talked about that, and she'd even admitted to like just not being as comfortable with the middles. And I think having Serena Gray will have changed it. She ran the middle so much that I'm like, okay, I really can get behind her running the middle like that. If she can do that and still run the USA system, I think that's a huge change in the system for USA to just run the middle a ton. Like Glass ran the slide a lot. I would like to see a lot more of that. And I would love to see the gap set more. I think the gap, you get the middles usually 1-on-1 or 1-on-none if you're off the net. And I just would love to see more gap sets in transition for the USA.
I do think that especially internationally, you don't see the slide as much because, I mean, the current meta in women's volleyball right now is that you have a dominant right side. Yeah. Right, none of the major trophies in volleyball have been won. Like the last major trophy to have been won without a dominant right side was the U.S. winning gold in Tokyo back in 2021. Since then, if you don't have a Gonu, Boskovic, Antropova, Hawk, or Vargas, you're probably not winning. You're definitely not winning, actually, statistically. So, I agree. That's pretty interesting overall. Anything else here to talk about the setters? Anything else you want to mention?
No, I think outside of Mia, I think it's a good list. I hope that Poulter and Hancock are healthy. We know what they can bring to the table, so I think let's bring in Minor and Fairbanks, and we saw a lot of Sage, so maybe week 1 we see those two and just see what they can do. And then, or maybe you bring Minor with Sage and then Fairbanks with Sage, and then bring the veterans back just to. I just don't know. I want to see everything. Like you said, we're already qualified for the Olympics, so like let's just see a lot of people we haven't seen.
Yeah, for sure. I actually think Sullivan didn't do enough of that last year. Like,
Totally.
he could have been
Totally.
wrote, and he talked about, there's all of these different combinations we want to be trying. It's like, cool, why aren't you trying them?
Agreed.
Where like you keep on talking about this like process that you want to go through, why aren't we seeing it on the court? But
No, I completely
digress.
agree. When he said that in an interview, I was like, where is it?
where was it? Now let's go to the opposites now.
Okay.
Just because we were just talking about dominant opposites in the game of volleyball, and obviously I don't think Jordan Thompson is within that top elite group of opposite hitters. We saw that even like when she was playing in Europe, she wasn't quite at that level. There'd be spurts of it, but she just couldn't keep up that consistency all the time at that elite level. But I still think Jordan Thompson is a top 10 middle or top 10 opposite in the world. So there's no question about it that she is going to be your number one option. First and foremost, how important is it to have her back to be able to get a bit of consistent scoring power on that right side in the opposite?
I think it's huge. I'm a huge Jordan Thompson fan. I do agree. I think she's top 10, but like just under the powerhouses of like, let's go to her every time in crunch time. I don't think she's quite there. But we saw moments of her getting possibly there in Love. So I hope that translates. Obviously she was destroying the league in points per set. There was only one that was even close, and then she got the opposite for Atlanta, and then she was hurt. But I think it's huge. I would like to see her maybe start like the very first game, just so she can get her feet wet back in the international game after taking a summer off, and then like let's not play Skinner either. Let's bring Samity, who didn't get to start at all, and I believe, I'm not going to directly quote it, I believe she hit over 400 off the bench every time.
Samity was one of the most efficient hitters for U.S. last year at the World Championships.
Yeah,
we saw that at the quarterfinals against Czechia as well. Like she came in and was able to play that level efficiently, right? And score efficiently and get a lot of points, even with lower usage. Like it was so frustrating to watch them play Turkey last year, and they just given the ball the outside every time, the entire time.
Yeah, I agree. I really think I understand the reason to want to bring Skinner a lot. I think she is a very good opposite, and in crunch time, she really can take over. So I understand the want for her to be there. But right now, I think it's Thompson and Samity for me. I think Samity is also the best defending opposite we have. She's better than everybody on this list by probably like 5x. She is the best defender on the list. And great server, steady, can come off the bench in a double sub, and she's a good blocker. I mean, she's literally good at everything. I think we should give her at least the whole first week. Like, let her start in every match the first week.
What about Kendall Kipp, though?
She's great.
What about Kendall Kipp? She had a fantastic year for Bergamo. Was like the 7th best scorer in the Lega Volley femininely. A tough league to score in, where you're expected to have a lot of pressure. She played for a Bergamo team that had one of the top scoring left sides in the league, Cuban Cese Delma, who basically didn't show up, who wasn't there, and like Kendall carried them. Do you think she deserves a shot too, and do you think she has a chance?
I think she deserves a shot. I think I did hear that she'd had a good season. I didn't get to watch a lot of her professional season, but I did hear and read that she had a great season. And I would like to see her get a couple shots to try. I think she's one of those that like she brings us depth after 2032, even though I don't know if Thompson will even be not after 2032, after 28. I don't even know if Thompson will be done after 2028 though. So I don't know if we're looking for a lot of depth or we're just trying to fill the second spot. But I liked Kipp at Stanford. I knew that she was injured last summer, so we didn't get to see her last summer because she was injured. So I would love to see her get a shot. I'd actually like to see a lot of Kipp and Samity this summer. I think we'll definitely get a lot of Skinner, and then we'll get probably a good amount of Babcock in week 1. But then after Babcock goes back to Pitt, like let's let Samity and Kipp get their shot.
Fair enough. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Now, Obviously Madison Skinner is one of the bigger names in USA
Mm-hmm.
volleyball. She's won the NCAA. Did she win it with Kentucky and
Mm-hmm.
Texas?
Yeah, she
She's
has,
won it
I
with
believe, three titles, I think.
yeah, she's
Two
won the
with Texas.
NCAA. She's won League One twice now.
Mm-hmm.
Like she is a big game player. We have a question in the chat here by Lukey Dory. Do you think Maddie needs a season or two overseas to secure her spot for LA? AKA, do you think playing in League One is going to be enough for her to be able to make go out and get her spot for LA 2028?
So if you'd asked me this at the beginning of the Love season, I probably would have said absolutely 100% she needs to go overseas. I just think the jump from year 1 to year 2 was huge. And then with the addition of the new teams and more international talent coming in, I want to wait and see which international names come. I've heard some rumors about players that want to come. But obviously there's a funding thing with girls that make a lot of money overseas. So I don't think they're quite ready for like the top names. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of that, so that's not really my thing. But that's just me speculating. So I want to see the list of who they've got coming in, and then if it's good and it's a big jump again for year 3, I don't know if she needs to. But if it's about the same or a little bit better, I would like to see her go overseas. I think it's never going to hurt her to go overseas anyway. I think there's nothing wrong with going overseas, but does she need to if the league continues to get better? I don't know.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. But do you think she's going to be able to compete with like a Kendall Kipp? Like JT has that number 1 spot down, unless she gets injured.
Done. Agreed.
But like, can she compete with a Kendall Kipp who is going to be getting those reps at that high level, like week in and week out? I know Samity's going to be going to play for MLV Minnesota next year, so obviously she's not going to be playing internationally. That's going to be something else completely. Like, she's definitely not going to be getting the like, she's going to be getting a lot of volume, but like, that to me is going to be kind of the marker past what she does this summer, of course. But like, if she better go and just dominate MLV.
She better have like 30 kills every match. You know what I mean? I do wonder if this is obviously completely speculation, but knowing the differences in the leagues, even if they offered her a lot of money, I'm certain that Love would have matched it. Like, I do not see Love not offering her a similar amount of money. I wonder if when she came back and played for the Supernovas in year 1, if she signed a contract that signed her rights away if she came back to the States for X amount of years. So that's where I'm like, that is the only thing that makes sense to me. And that's no tea, no shade to MLV. She is by far the best player in that league, especially with some of the girls I know that are leaving that are not public yet. I know a lot of the big names are coming over. So I am just very surprised when that got announced.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. But back to the original question. I do think that Kipp is getting a much better quality of reps right now, especially this past season. And so I don't mind to see Maddie again get a shot against a good team. Like, let's not pad people's stats and put them in a bad game. I think that last year, no tea, no shade to Lexi, I think Morgan got a lot of the harder games. And then people compared the stats evenly.
Okay.
And I was like, well, Alexi's great. I love Lexi. I love Morgan. But Morgan had to play a decent amount harder matches. So I think that that's not fair to compare direct stats. So, like, let's see Maddie play in a top game and then see if she steps up. And, like, let's put Kipp in a similar game and put Somebody in a similar game and, like, compare apples to apples. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing for, like, we saw Skinner last year, Maddie. There's 2 Skinners. Like, she was really good in the World Championships through pool play when you're playing, like, Ukraine.
Right.
Through the round of 16, playing my Canadian team who just didn't show up. And we were fielding a young team. And then she had like a terribly negative efficiency playing against Czechia in that quarterfinal matchup and just didn't show up at all altogether.
Agreed. I also don't think that her and Poulter connect at all. I think the offense is very quick, but I'll still stand on the fact that I think it's too low. I think you can set a quick ball higher. There's technique-wise, it's not that much harder to set the ball just as fast and higher.
All I'm saying is that, like, I do kind of agree. Like, Team USA volleyball is like, let's just run it as fast as we possibly can. Whereas we had a Vakif Bank team this year beat Corneliano and win the the CEV Champions League by jacking up the highest high balls I have ever seen.
Yep.
Like those would have been hitting the roof in so many NCAA gyms just because of how high Chansu Osbe or Osbe was chucking up that ball. Sometimes just don't need to run it fast.
And honestly, I think this is a hot take, and I have nothing to back this up. Nothing to back this up. But I've always said I feel like Plummer passes so well overseas, and then she doesn't pass as well for USA, and I think it's on purpose so that she doesn't get set the same fastball. If it was me and I wouldn't want to hit the ball, I would pass bad too. I'd be like, nope, just go bump set high. It's probably the only outside on the list that can hit the ball they want to run. I just don't understand why it's so low. We have right sides that touch over 11 feet, and we're running the ball this high over the tape. And we're wondering why Jordan Thompson gets blocked by everybody, and it's like she has nowhere to go. She has nowhere to go with the ball.
Yeah. We're in this really weird like meta in volleyball right now where the men's game, you run it fast. Like we've got smaller opposites on the right side. You're running it fast everywhere. And then the women's game, you've got these monster opposites who you just jack it up to. And like it's a much different game. And that's why it's interesting to see like the NCAA game in the American style is so different from what we're seeing currently internationally.
Totally agree.
Like teams like Japan and Brazil and the USA, who are really left side heavy, haven't really had that much success compared to teams like Italy or Turkey, who are much more right side dominant.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I have been wondering why for a while now, why we haven't changed our system. I think we have enough success that people are like, oh, it's good enough. And I'm like, it's not though. We have the talent that we should be going further. But yeah, maybe that's just me. But I just am a big believer in a high ball for the right sides that touch well over 11 feet.
I have one person telling me in the chat there's no audio, but I don't actually know if that's actually the case.
Hello?
Can you talk?
Hello?
No,
yeah, I see my mic going up when I talk.
Yeah, Pepe Garcia, I think you just need to turn your mic on there because everything is telling me that you guys have audio right now. So that
Ooh, yeah, I do have one opposite that I would like to have seen that's not on this list.
Oh yeah, who's that?
And this is a really hot take, and it's not just because she's a Kentucky girl. I really think that she could do well, Ajani Taylor, that played right side for Indy, played opposite for Indy. She's 5'10", but her touch is 11'2" or 11'3". Great defender, great server, huge presence, and can hit any ball. Literally, I've never seen her opposite just adjust the way she adjusts. And I just think we needed, like, you see teams like Japan run a small opposite and have a ton of success with a small opposite. Because at the end of the day, everyone's like, well, she can't compete with, like, Iganu and Vargas. She's not going up against Iganu and Vargas. She's going up against the outsides. So, in my opinion, when she's putting up 5 or 6 games with 30-plus kills, and she's had so many games hitting over 500 or 600, again, in the MLV. But I just think she's a super athletic, quick, good defender, really good energy. I would love to see her on a roster at some point. That's just a hot take. I would love to see an undersized opposite for us, just to get a chance.
I actually don't hate that at all. I'm a big Azani Taylor fan. I won't lie. I'm a big just indie MLV.
Same. Like I actually wish the whole team would move over.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, like you're bringing up Ukiko Wada of Japan. Like she's a girl who was one of the top scorers in the VNL last year. Was literally one of the top scorers at the World Championships last year, who doesn't even start for her club team in Japan,
which is crazy.
because they have Linda Nwakalor.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it is pretty interesting. All right, moving on to the middles. I think this is a really interesting middle group. Agreed. Because especially without an Agiati there, who to me is an absolute lock. I think she's one of the most impactful players in the middle position in the world. Like we saw that when she played for Novara at the beginning of the season. Like Novara's like level really dropped when she left. I don't know. Everyone's saying that the audio is all over the place. I'm not entirely sure. But yes, Amber Agiati is injured. I actually saw pictures of her. Somebody posted pictures in the Discord today of her getting her shoulder surgery literally today or yesterday. Like
her ACL. Yeah. We actually talked yesterday about it. Yeah.
Yeah. How's she doing? She good?
She's good. She's already just like back on track. She has got for people, my social media people know, and they always, the volley talk people in the world try to tear me down for bringing it up, but I've actually torn my ACL twice. So I reached out to her when I found out that's what she had done. And I was like, hey, if you have any questions, like I can be a resource. I mean, her and I have talked multiple times, so this is not like out of the blue. And she was just super level-headed, like great head on her shoulders. She's super driven. I think she's going to be just fine. She might even be back before next pro season starts for Love.
Wow, great.
I really think that they have a great training staff at USA too. So I super excited to see her come back. I think she's got a really good mental right now.
But yeah, past you've got a Bogu and you got a GAD. To me, they're locks.
That's my locks too.
And then I think you've got a lot of opportunities past there. Obviously you've got Redke, who is an Olympian. Like she's 6'5". Like she is an imposing presence out there. She was 4th in blocks this year in the Sultanlar Ligi, which is a very high offensive league over there in Turkey. I think this is a really big opportunity for Asia O'Neal as well too. Like I think this is going to be the year that, I think this is going to be the year where like it's going to be kind of make or break for Asia O'Neal. Either she's going to step up and be that player for Team USA and kind of step into like a Chieko Bogu role, or it's not going to happen and she might go down and really not be a part of this roster long term.
I agree. I think and you're the one that's obviously watched more international than me. I watched a little bit of the finals and semifinals with Dana, and impresses me because I've seen the stats, and the stats obviously don't lie to a degree. I just feel like in the faster offenses, she struggles to close a block. And I think that we really focus on middles like Amber and Chiaka, who close blocks really well. Yeah. We saw Chiaka just moving laterally extremely well. But it's hard to not want Dana when she's as efficient offensively as she is. So that's where I struggle, is like in the faster offenses, she goes from being one of the better blockers to not being as strong of a blocker. But then offensively, she brings it out anyway. So she's my, I go back and forth on her all the time. I think she's gotten massively better in the past 2 to 3 years. I do agree with you. I think Asia O'Neal had a great season and has a really high ceiling. And so I think this is a make or break here for her. I have heard that this might be a surprise to some people. I have heard that Molly McCage is doing extremely well in the USA gym right now.
Okay.
I think people would be surprised, is what I've heard. Everyone would be very surprised at how well she's playing. And then my kind of hot take is that Anna Stevenson Hall, I think, is the closest athletically to Faluk that we have on the roster. I think that if she can get back into true form and be as mobile as she was before she had a kid, I think that her ceiling is so high. Like, I've seen very few athletes move the way she moves. She's super quick. Almost got kind of a weird arm swing, but it works for her. It helps whatever she does biomechanically. She's able to adjust to the sets really, really well. And she runs like a really, really good slide, a really fast slide, but also hits the gap extremely well. So I think if Anna Hall can step up and come back to true form, I think that she's kind of a sleeper pick. But I do think for the most part, it's between Dana and Asia for that, I think, 3rd spot, probably.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. What about like an Anna Dodson? She had a good year offensively in Italy. Blocking numbers, she's only averaging about like 0.33 blocks per set, which to me doesn't really cut it. If you're like to me internationally, the middle blocker position is to just do just that. I know how much involved the middle blocker position is in the NCAA, but once you get internationally, your job is there first and foremost to close blocks, block the ball, take away angles, and then it's to play offense.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have heard really good things about Dodson. I didn't get to watch. I actually didn't have her on my prediction list. I just because I haven't seen a lot of her. I talked to the UCLA assistant coach who had her. And she speaks really highly of her, and I trust her opinions a lot. So I think could surprise me. I think actually all the middles on the list deserve a fair shot to step up. Sammy Francis, I heard, had a really good season, and she's super athletic for her height. So I think that's another one. I think the list is good. Notable miss is Tia. I know people were asking where Tia was, and
Yeah.
I actually don't know where Tia was. I thought she played pretty solid last summer. I thought her season was a little bit iffy. Didn't get set a bunch this season, so I think that it's hard as a middle that's really offensive to stay engaged when you're not getting set a ton. Maybe that's not everybody, but I think that that's pretty normal if you're not getting set a bunch to stay locked in blocking wise. But other than that, I think the list is good. I wouldn't really make any changes. I know Butler's missing, but I've heard maybe she's injured. I actually don't know.
I was gonna ask about Breon Butler because I know everyone's up in arms about all the Texas players on this roster. There's 7 Texas players. No one talks about the fact that there's 6 Stanford players on this roster as well. Like, come on. I know you guys are all up in arms. It's just there's all these Nebraska fans. There's not more Nebraska players, which to me is just shows about how good of a program Nebraska is because they're not necessarily bringing in the best athletes. They're bringing in the best players for their system, and it's allowed them to still be successful. But I would have thought that Breon Butler was there, especially considering the year that like she outplayed Sammy Francis, who's in Japan, right? Yeah, she outplayed Sammy Francis by every metric, and yet she's not there. I would have expected to be for her to be there, but obviously she's not.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely would like to have seen Butler. I also thought she had a great summer last year. And I was surprised to have not seen her on the final selection for the last couple weeks. But yeah, I'm not actually sure. I know she had a great season, and she had a great season the year before in Japan too. So I think she's.
Lukey Dory in the chat is saying that on the Sarah Pavin pod, she was talking about that Butler had a disagreement with Sullivan.
I have also heard that, but I wasn't going to speak to it. But I have also heard that. I don't know all the details about that situation, but I'm surprised that Pavin knows about that.
Sarah Pavin locked in over there.
She locked in. She knows the tea.
Yeah. And I mean, like, especially with Butler, like Butler is playing in the Japanese league, and like we're talking about closing blocks side to side. The Japanese league is one of the tough. It's a very fast league. You're playing in very fast offenses, and Butler is able to do it better than pretty much anyone. So definitely interesting that she's not on this roster.
Yeah. Somebody had said that one of her family members said that she was injured. So again, I don't know how true that is. I don't know how in depth the confrontation between her and Eric was. If it even happened, people love to speculate and act like it's facts. So that's why I have never. If I don't know it's true for 100% fact, I won't really make a video on it or anything because I'm like, man, a lot of people talk that don't actually know.
Yeah. The chat is looking for some spice, but we actually just had a big dip of viewership there after you didn't want to give the tea.
Did they really?
No, I'm just kidding you. All right, moving on from anything else you want from the middles? Like, would you have liked to see like a Serena Gray?
I did want to see a Serena Gray. I had heard she was going to have a surgery. Same with Haley Washington. So
yeah, I mean, Washington basically wasn't playing towards the end of like if she's not playing in the championship, like makes a lot of sense why she's not going to be here.
Yeah, but she's playing tonight. I heard she was listed on the roster tonight. So I thought I'd already heard that Washington had surgery, and then when they announced that, I was like, okay, maybe it's scheduled for after this. Or maybe she's not even.
Why are they even? If she's not on a roster, why is she even playing in the red white?
Well, I think that's because of all the international girls that aren't practicing, or the ones that are coming back from injury, like Hancock and Poulter. I don't think are playing tonight. And I think that because they also brought in the 3 college girls, Charlie Furbringer, Bergen Riley, and Andy Jackson, which I would love to have seen Andy Jackson on this list, actually. Okay. I think that, and also after talking to some of the players that are on this list, they all said that she had a phenomenal training block. So and she's super athletic, like 6'3", so a good height, but also super athletic. I like the little, undersized is crazy for somebody that's 6'3" in the women's game, but in the middle, we usually see a little bit taller. Siatkowka, I think, is 6'2", so she's not really huge either. Maybe she's taller than that. Don't quote me.
No, but she's physical. She's physical.
So physical. So, but I think Andy Jackson is too, and she needs a little bit of work with her block, and I think that this would have been the perfect opportunity to give her that.
That's fair. That is fair. All right. I guess at this point now we only have the liberos to talk about, which we've already kind of discussed and gone over. The libero position is the one position where you don't have an Olympian coming back.
Yeah.
right? There's no Justine Wong Orantes on this roster. Last year we saw mostly Hentz and Rodriguez. As you mentioned previously before, you thought that Hentz maybe got the shorter end of the stick in terms of having to play some of the tougher matchups out there. Hentz, Ogilvy, and Elena Scott, all three of them coming out of the MLV. Rodriguez, I actually didn't even realize how few American liberos
Hmm.
are in League One,
Yeah.
right? Because you've got mostly international liberos over there. So do you think Hentz will be the starter come the playoffs of the VNL? Do you think she will still be on this roster come the end of the year?
I think, to me, if Hintz starts out and has really solid serve receive, obviously after she left Omaha, and I think the coaching stuff there, the coach obviously ended up getting fired, and I think that there was a lot of pressure put on her when she wasn't always the problem for losing matches. And then when we saw when she went to Grand Rapids that her stats astronomically jumped up.
Yeah.
Not saying MLV is all that, but after watching her play last summer and then getting into switching teams and having a crazy different season, I think that as long as she plays consistent, I think she's on the roster. And then, I mean, I really think it is Lexi and Morgan for the end. But I think Elena Scott had such a good season, and so did Elena Ogilvy, that I'm really partial to Scott. I think Elena Ogilvy is great, and I think she deserves a fair shot. But I think that Elena Scott is a good mix between Lexi and Morgan. And if all of that translates from MLV to international, and it very well might, I think that she genuinely looked extremely bored. So I think that if somebody actually challenges her, that she can step up. And I really think she could come in there for one of the two spots for the end.
Fair enough. I mean, that seems pretty solid. I think because none of the liberos play internationally.
Mm-hmm.
So I really have, and most of them I've only ever seen play for Team USA for 1 year. So I really have a hard time grasping just where they stay, they last, like they are on the depth chart, and the margin for error, if you can call it that, between each of them is so small.
Agreed.
In my opinion. Obviously, some of them have a bigger Instagram following, but yeah, I think it's really a toss up. It is really a toss up, and this is going to be the year. If anyone's going to step up and take that position, it's going to be that position. It's going to be this year. It has to be this year.
I agree, and I will double down on what I said earlier. I actually think, as long as Elena Scott transfers over the level of skill and the level of play and the stats, if it transfers, I don't really care which one gets it, to be honest. I think all three are great. All three bring something different, and all three of them are not going to be the reason we lose a game or lose a medal. I think all three of them can very well lead us to the podium and will never be the reason we lose, in my opinion.
Fair enough. But as I said, it's not like I don't know if they're making game-changing plays like Justine Wong Orantes could.
True. And Justine's service receive was so good. Good.
I mean, I look at like JWO as being like the prototype libero in so many ways. Just the way that she communicates and took control of the serve receive, took control of the back line, the way she played defense, especially in broken out of system situations. When other teams putting the ball over, she's taking the free ball. She's communicating very well. She's making big plays in defense, keeping balls alive. Like, I loved watching her play.
Yeah.
Like almost as much as I watch Brenda Castillo play. So that is up there.
I think with commanding the backcourt, I think that is where I lean to Morgan, because Lexi's steady like Justine, but she's very quiet. And that's not to say that that's a bad thing. I just think I'm also really big on, this is just from a coaching aspect, if you're playing libero, you really cannot get beat to your left, either down the line or cross court. I think that is like the balls that you have to get up. And I feel like last year we saw Lexi get beat to her left a lot. But I also feel like the coaching didn't necessarily correct that. I think at what point do we see, hey, Lexi, you're a step in the line. Yeah, you're one step in, two inside. And I feel like she was consistently in the same position. And so I feel like there was a lack of communication of, hey, you're getting beat down the line because you're 1 foot in instead of like right on the line. And so that's nothing to take away from her skill. I think she gets a lot of balls up, but I think like if it's to your left, like that, has to be up, personally. And tips. I cannot stand a drop tip. I think tips should never drop.
That is just a coaching thing too.
Yeah.
Like I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Like tips and enough with the pancakes. Like enough
No,
trying
get
to
your feet there and play the ball with a platform, please.
yeah. Like like there's nothing worse than watching someone trying to pancake with a bent elbow, and it's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
I swear to God, like no,
Yeah.
there's none of that stuff. Like when I played college eons ago, we were not allowed to pancake.
Yeah.
Just because you had guys like falling trying to pancake. It's just like just run through it, baby. Like
Yeah.
just get that ball up.
Yep. And I would argue there's two things. The ones that hide it well, their contact point is so freaking high in the air, there's no reason you can't get there. And they're going to get way more strict on throws. So I don't think there's any reason to really get burned on the throws anymore. And two, if they're not having that crazy high contact point, they're probably showing the tip extremely early. So like I actually think in Paris until the semifinals and finals, I actually think Justine dropped a lot of tips, and that was super uncharacteristic for her. And I was like, what's going on, babe? This is the first time I've ever seen you drop that many tips in a row.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of remember that as well too. So that's pretty much all the positions there. If you have to like call like let's call it a top 14, who are you going with your top 14? You know, going in like
overall?
From this list. So like from what we have for this year, like but when this team qualifies for the VNL finals, what are we going to potentially see? Who would you go with? Like first and foremost, who would your setters be?
Okay, setters. As of right now, because obviously there's a couple that I'd like to see more presence on the USA team. Right now, I'd probably go Poulter and SKT and Sage for the double sub there. And then opposites, I'm going to go Thompson and Samity. I think that's a pretty good two. And then, do we usually take two liberos, I think, for the finals?
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to take two liberos.
Well, that's tough because I already said, like, it doesn't really matter to me which one is the libero. I would take Morgan, and then I would probably go with... They're so different. It's nice, especially if he would actually make the change between Lexi and Morgan and just, like, flip them around as needed. I would like to see those two. And then if Elena Scott can prove herself internationally, I think she could earn the spot on there as well. I don't really know. It depends on what her stats look like as to which one she'd replace. In my opinion, like if she has similar defense and a little bit better serve receive, then Morgan's out. If she has super solid serve receive but better defense than Lexi, I think Lexi's out. Statistically, I think that's kind of a toss up there. I don't know what to expect.
All right, four middles. Give us
four
middles here.
Okay, four middles. I'm gonna go Chiaka, Asia. I'm going to go Dana, and then my fourth, I'm going to go Anna Hall based off of like my thoughts on how good she can be. But after that, I would probably, just off of what I've heard, go Molly McCage if I had a fifth.
All right.
Just because of what I've heard.
I do feel like Molly McCage is one of those players who just has gotten a little bit better every single year and just gets incrementally better. And the best players are the players who get better the longest. Yeah. Right. And that's what she's done. Like she's just continued to improve little bit by little bit by little bit every single year.
Yeah. And I thought she had a really, really good season. I thought, especially being there and watching her block and swing in the finals, I was like, wow, you are not the same player you were last year or the year before. You have gotten extremely much, like a lot better.
Fair enough. And then your outsides. Who are you going for the outside?
Four, right? Four outsides?
Yeah, if you don't pick Simone Lee, we'll be having
Simone Lee and Avery Skinner are my two like absolute yeses. Those are my two yeses. I am probably gonna go. I'll go Sarah Franklin on the fact that I think she had a pretty good season when she did play, and I think that she's got extremely high ceiling. And then I'm probably gonna go Logan Eggleston as four. I think if Logan's passing can step up, her offense is undeniable. I don't think anybody can question how good she is offense,
especially in system. Right.
Yes.
Like that is going to be one of the big things. Like in system, she is was one of the best attackers in League One this year. Yeah. All right, but that's solid. I don't think many people can disagree with that all that much. Now, what do you think the overall like goals of this summer should be? And I guess ultimately past that, like, well, what do you think is possible for this roster just at the VNL? Just the VNL.
I think the VNL, I think what we need to do is find the rest of our locks for the Olympics for sure. But I think that it's already pretty narrowed down to who can kind of fill that. My one missing is Linear. I mean, I thought she again had a great season. I've seen the stats. I'm confused where Kalia is. I actually have not heard hardly anything, whether she turned it down or is injured or just wasn't asked altogether. Just haven't heard like anything. I've seen somebody say like she was blacklisted, and I was like, I don't think that's accurate personally.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think that's true. And so that is my one question. And then I really think that we have a lot of young players on the roster, like freshly in the pro scene. I think just get them experience and see who can fill the roster spots after LA. I think can then continue to develop them, and then everybody else I would like to see just kind of get dropped for next VNL and then fill those spots with college players. Like I would.
Interesting. Like if you're not making the cut this year, then you're just getting cut altogether.
Yeah, I think if you're not on the roster, like I think next VNL, the next VNL should be the Olympics roster, the Olympic roster, plus 3 to 4 players that fill the gaps for after the Olympics, and then 8 college players. Like,
okay,
fill it with girls. We are so behind developmentally, and if we're gonna have less and less players going overseas to get that international experience, we need them to get it at a younger age in the USA Gym. That's just
all right. I actually don't mind that at all, to be perfectly honest. Do you think so? Like, you know, the rosters are out. Looks like Brazil is bringing their team. Turkey is bringing their team. Italy won't be bringing their team. Where do you think, you know, can this USA team make it past a quarterfinal? Can they get themselves into a semifinal? You know, they can they compete with like the Turkey and the Brazils and the Japans and the Polands right now with this roster?
I wouldn't put anything past USA. I think like even Paris really showed everybody that when USA wants to win, that they can find a way to do it. I think it also means that people have to underestimate USA. I think we saw some of that in the last Olympics. But I think it depends on the matchup. Like if we play like Turkey, we've seen can crash. We've seen them like like even Karakurt, who's been getting better and better and better. Like when she rides a low, she rides the low, and the whole team rides that low with her. And so I think that's one. Brazil can also get stuck if one of the stronger leaders, like if Gabby's having an off game, we don't see them pulling her, and then they all start to crumble because they're like, what's happening? So I think kind of a combination with that would have to kind of happen right now. Sucks to not have Plummer. I really wish we had Plummer. I think that's a huge ad, but I don't know. I think depending on who we play, we could turn some heads in the quarterfinals.
Okay, fair enough. I would really love to see like a USA Japan quarterfinal.
Oh, that would be fun. That'd be fun. Super kind of similar systems. Obviously, we're a little bit more physical, but Japan's got way more in system and faster, even faster than we run.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty fun to see like a USA Japan situation there in the quarterfinals. Do you think the US even cares about NORCECA championships?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it really, especially this Olympic cycle, like we don't really need it. So
well, I mean, like, yeah, that's it. Like the continental championships for everyone else in the world is the first step in the Olympic qualifying. Mm-hmm. So that's huge, right? But the reality is, like, if US was playing in Europe, for example, there'd be a lot of value, I think, to go to a European championships and play against those top teams. But unfortunately, you know, Dominican and Canada don't really push the needle much anymore. Like, not anymore, but just don't really push the needle in terms of giving that competition. Mm-hmm. So I would, you know what, I would say, like, send a college team.
Yeah,
like, don't like just send like just straight up college team. Although like because
Martin.
It is tough though, because it is basically right at the beginning of the college season.
Yeah,
like when are NORCECA championships?
Are you pulling that up? I don't actually.
I'm gonna pull this up right now.
Yeah, because I would love to see like I would love to have seen like Kennedy Martin in the USA gym. I don't think she was in the gym this summer for whatever reason, but she was scoring almost 7 points per set last season in college, and it's like, wow, that's ridiculous. And extremely hard to do when you're on a team that's. No, I love Penn State, so this is no tea, no shade, but losing a lot.
Yeah, Penn State last year.
Yeah. So to
was
lose
crazy.
a lot and then to still almost have 7 points per set is actually ridiculous to me.
So it is a little difficult because NORCECA Championships is August 19th to 30th.
Oh yeah.
Which is almost like there's no way with the money and with the NIL money happening right now that any top team is going to be giving up a Kennedy Martin or a Olivia Babcock or any of those top players to go play at the NORCECA Championships in Dominican Republic at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I'd agree. Unfortunate, but maybe we'll send just like super young team. Like let's get like maybe not super young, just like I don't know, like let people go earn a spot there. Like if you're not going to get a lot of experience on the VNL, let's send them. Give them the Sammy Francis and the Molly McCage and the Ogilvy.
Okay.
Maybe even Claire Hoffman. Like let's just send people that might deserve a shot next year.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Because especially like to me, like the Skinners and the Abogus, like any of those players who are going to be playing in a long pro season, no offense to the League One season, but your 3-month season that is essentially a cup of coffee for everyone else. Maybe just send the League One players and the MLV players who only play January to April.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I think keep their skills up. That's actually a good point. Is that the international girls have such long seasons, so sending some of the love girls actually is a really good idea.
Yeah,
to keep their skills up.
Absolutely. How do you think this team is shaping up to go for gold on home soil in 2028? Like, do you think this team is on track to where they should be 3 years ago?
I'm giving Eric Sullivan this year. I think obviously he did not get a fair shot last year. I think people gave him a lot of shit for like taking a big Texas roster last year, but he kind of had to, y'all. Like he had like no veteran presence. And what are you supposed to do? Take girls that also don't have experience that you haven't coached before? Like to me, if you've coached somebody that you know can show up and perform for you and you have to fill a roster, it makes total sense to bring them. That's just my take. So I gave him a little bit of grace there. I really like the roster. I think if we actually see different people being brought in to get fair shots at making the LA roster, I think we're shaping up for a good season and a good quad. Definitely requires everyone to really step up massively if they want to compete with the Italy and the Turkey and just everybody internationally. They're so good consistently right now that if we don't step up, it's not going to be really a thing. So I think if people step up, there's definitely a shot. So we'll see kind of how this summer goes. This summer is really going to be a big determining factor for me on where we're headed for the rest of the quad.
Do you think there's holes in the American system?
In what sense? I think in any system, there's definitely got to be a little bit of holes.
Yeah,
but
of course. But for so long we've viewed the NCAA as this be all end all, and I think it's one of the best products that we have right now in volleyball in general. But does it lead to producing does the gold medal squared approach of everyone having to do everything all the same, all the time, look the same, be the same player, does it lead to producing championship teams? Or are we going to be moving away from that as the meta of women's volleyball changes?
I actually agree that it's a great product, and I think that it does its job. But I do think that last year we saw Eric move a little bit away from the Karch system with like the super low quicks, and we got the middle involved a little bit more than we used to. And I think that unfortunately there are holes in the system to get us to where we can properly run that system I think he wants to run. I think that it would take a big movement away from USA rules in college. I think that the evolution of the DS role, and that's coming from somebody that's undersized that plays volleyball. I think that that's been a huge flaw in the USA system. I love that we have DSs and they make the rally super long and fun to watch, but like not having a right back that can swing is a problem when people are trying to develop. Like, we want a superstar opposite, but we don't let them play 6 rotations. We look at somebody like Nebraska, who has Virginia Adriana, who came from the Italian A2, played 6 rotations and was great for them, and then benched in the back row. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. And every time she stayed in, and one of the best serves in the country in college, and sometimes we didn't even get to see the serve. And I was like, I just don't understand the need to have that much defense when the block's pretty good, in my opinion. Like, have a libero that can really run your backcourt and then have firepower back there. Like, you see others, like internationally, that's how it works. And when teams are successful in college, they have back row attackers that can hit every ball. Look at Maddie Skinner. Like, every year we start to see teams that win the national championship. Outside of this past year, I thought A&M was very balanced. I also thought they had quite a few players that would have a lot of success overseas, which helps. And I just think that if we want those superstar players, then we have to move away from taking them out of the court at all.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Although I have been on record in saying before that maybe we just go to a straight up like NCAA system for international ball too. Like, imagine if internationally you were playing with, like, you know, more subs and the DS and all of that. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. It would.
I agree.
You know, it would make international volleyball much more like American football.
Yeah, I think it would give people a lot more opportunities to play too, which I think is a big reason. Like, in the NCAA, we see a lot of like fan bases that like players. Like at Nebraska, they love Macy Bosinger, and she didn't see the court hardly at all. And I love Macy. I've met her a few times. She's super nice, great girl. And it's like they want to see her. You know what I mean? And I think that's also the case with everybody that likes volleyball. And also, I do think that we wouldn't even see that many DSs internationally. But with a few extra subs, if they had a dominant opposite that can run the firepower, then maybe the outside would come off the court. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I would go back and forth. I think that the USA would definitely take advantage of that. Have like an outside that just bangs away, but also has really good ball control. And then the second outside is somebody that when they're in the front row, they're banging. And when they're in the back row, they're on the bench.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think we're ever going to see a transition.
Yeah, it won't happen.
in terms of this, but it may be better for the product overall. You know, it may make it so like international volleyball is much more like American football, where you've got like a proper offensive and defense, and you're essentially running plays. You know, it's different for sure, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that anytime soon.
Yeah, I think that they suggested those rule changes this past year. It got shut down extremely quickly by the fans.
Well, I mean, it sounds like there was just some rumors going on out there. Yeah. But yeah, when you were talking about like the liberos being able to serve and set in front of the attack line and all of this stuff, people were not down with that.
I know. I love that people like Avid can post stuff like that and nobody cares when he's lying or wrong. But if I am...
But Avid, because Avid doesn't have a like I do like Avid's work, but there's no name or face from them.
Agreed. And right? I think that's why he does it.
Yeah.
Even though I would like to say I actually am a huge fan. I obviously follow and use a lot of his graphics for information. Yeah. Very quick with getting it out there too.
Yeah. Turnaround time and quality of graphics is incredible.
Yeah, I think that man is locked and loaded on that Canva. That man has got it down.
Do you think it's a Canva, or do you think it's more of like a Photoshop situation?
Oh, it could be. It could be. Some of them, actually, I don't know. It could be either one. But he's very quick. I know that he is a Nebraska person, though, for those of you wondering. Not from personal experience, just from sources.
From sources.
But I do think that he's been a little bit more biased lately. I am a little shocked to see how much of a bias he's had. I think he's been very anti-US USA volleyball lately, based off of the
Okay.
tweets that I've seen. Maybe that's not true. Maybe he's just
See,
being strict.
I don't Twitter. I
I only
that
really see
it,
screenshots. I have never been a Twitter
okay.
person. Even in high school, I didn't use it. But I'll get like screenshots here and there, and I'm like, oh, that's an interesting take. Not one I would have, but interesting.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I guess I haven't really seen many of his takes out there in the world. It's mostly just been like, it's just straight like stats and graphics and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll send you some of the screenshots I've gotten, and you'll be like, wow, that's a take.
Okay. Yeah, that interesting. That is interesting. I don't know if I have anything. Is there anything you really wanted to touch on that we missed?
No, I think that just if everybody needs to understand that if somebody is that good that should have been on the roster that isn't, odds are they turned it down or they were asking for the summer off for injury or for family, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I know some people have had some personal things going on with with family members, and so it's like if they're not on the list and they should have been, they were probably asked. And I think that not a lot of people actually give coaches the grace with people like Jenna Gray and Catherine Plummer. It's like, babes, they were obviously going to be on this roster. They are not on the roster because they chose to not be on the roster. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that people need to understand about some of the players that are missing.
Yeah, I totally agree. But there's so much subjectivity when it comes to the U.S. roster.
True.
Because there's so many players that are someone's favorite.
I agree. I definitely think that. I mean, we saw like Love moved Justine, and I don't actually know if this is why. I really don't. But like Justine switching teams this season to Houston, and there was, I mean, can't help when all the fans are asking to see Lexi start over Justine, which is nothing against Lexi. I mean, Justine's one of the best we've ever had, if not the best we've ever had. And so it's like, oh, you all just started watching volleyball 3 years ago, and you didn't start watching volleyball 12 years ago. Like that's how I'm like, oh, you all really just want to see your favorite person play. You don't actually care to watch who's the best, which is wild to me. But that's why I always tell people I don't really care who wins. As long as it's good volleyball, I'm having a good time. I love to just watch good volleyball.
Are you going to be tuning in or tuning in for VNL this year?
Oh yeah. And I'm doing
going to Quebec
men's and
week 1?
women's.
You going to Quebec week 1?
Oh no, I won't be there, but I would love to be. I would love to be there. I don't have a connection. I don't have it unless you want to help me get in.
What you just apply.
Oh, is it really that easy? I haven't even looked
like,
into it really.
It's super easy to like, it's super easy to.
I think I'm going to Chicago for the men's because I talked to Eric Shoji about getting in there, but
yeah, it's the same. I can show it to you. It's literally just like an online form that you fill out, and trust me, they accept anyone from some of the riffraff that they might not let me in, but that's for different reasons altogether. But yeah, like trust me, they let people who have like fake Instagram accounts, so they would definitely let you in.
Oh,
Quebec City is a good time. Like
cool. I've never been, so that would be cool.
It is arguably, not arguably, it's definitely one of my favorite cities in Canada.
I've never been to Canada at all, so it would be super fun for me to just explore.
It is very French. It's also old. Like it's the oldest city in North America.
Oh,
yeah,
did not know that.
Yeah, so maybe you should. I'll show you how.
We'll chat. Yeah, we'll chat.
It's super easy to be able to get a pass to go. But yeah, cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and chatting and teaching plebs like me who don't watch League One and MLV week in and week out about this team and what it's going to look like.
And thanks for always keeping me up to date with all the international play. I will always come and talk USA, but I am getting slowly more into the international things, so we're getting there.
Great, love that. Well, I have to do a watch along at one point for
whenever you want. I'm always down for that.
For one of these games. Yeah, I've been doing these watch alongs recently. Although I do think that during VNL, I'll be doing them mostly on Twitter, or not on Twitter, Twitch. That's
cool.
That's what. Just because like VNL games, there's so many going on at the same time, and it's just way easier to like do continuously instead of like making multiple streams and going on and off of YouTube
Cool.
all the time.
Well, that works.
All right. Anyone else? And anyone else in the chat want to know anything else? No, I don't think anyone's listening. All right, cool. Well, have a good time. The red white game starts in like what 24 minutes.
Yeah, 9:24. So it's perfect timing.
Great. Is that on YouTube?
I think they posted the link on their Facebook. I think it's on their Facebook. I posted an Instagram video and a TikTok about a screenshot that has a link in it, so that people could have that as well. But it's on the video on the USA Volleyball Facebook.
Okay, sounds good. I'll definitely try to tune in. Although it sounds like it's going to be a bit of a weird roster.
I also don't know what to expect, so I'm curious.
All right. Well, everyone, women's VNL gets kicked off in like 13 days.
Crazy.
I think not next week, but the week after. USA women will be in Quebec City. Week number 1. They play Ukraine, Germany, Canada, and France, I believe, in week 1 of VNL. So
we're excited.
Should be a good one. And yeah, cool, man. Appreciate you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.
Peace.